Walked into the job. Let's be honest. He walked into the job because of who he is.
But if you think about it nowadays, again, what we're talking about industry. If just say Man United, use Man United now, yeah. If Man United almost took an unknown, not really known to Man United, came through the ranks as a coach, whatever, what would you lot say as fans? It would almost be unacceptable because you'd say, hold on a second, this is an unknown at Man United.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? Every these big clubs in Europe, so you're talking about Man United, you're talking about Real Madrid, Barcelona, all these lot. You can't have, because of the way it's going, it creates another monster putting an unknown in them positions. Because you then have to answer to the fans.
Yeah.
Like, you may have like CEOs involved and saying, look, okay, cool, you know, we want to give this guy a chance or whatever. But what the fans going to think?
It's an elitist culture, and opportunity is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're saying, any top league, any top club in Europe wouldn't take a relative unknown or a manager that's semi-capable from halfway down the league somewhere and say, here's the team, here's $100 million, do what you can. It's taking a team from mid-table to lower table to the league is something so rare that it just makes what Claudio Ranieri did at Leicester that much more incredible. I mean, even Alex Ferguson's appointment at the time was really a shot in the dark, a punt, and he was given those 2 or 3 seasons to sort of get the team together, make it all gel, make it all work. So that greatness for a manager in this day and age is collecting the titles, going on to the next club, and doing it with a relatively good style of play. The days of having a manager come in and shake things up and change things, even in this day and age where there are good managers going into clubs and doing that, they're being criticised, and heavily so, to the point that in come January, if you're not exceeding a certain expectation, you're sacked.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the business now. It truly does lend itself to opportunity, and ultimately the dollar value.
But like you said before, you wouldn't want an unknown to come in and take over Manchester United or Real Madrid or Barcelona or Bayern Munich. I understand that, but do you just go with it? It almost plays into what I'm saying as well. The romance of football is what put Zinedine in that position. The romance of football is what put Pep Guardiola in that position. That's why when everyone was talking about when David Moyes was inevitably going to be sacked because of where United was sitting after such an illustrious history, and they were talking about putting Giggs in place, I said Giggs is not the right man right now, because you can't just because he knows or he was coached by Sir Alex Ferguson for so long. His method of coaching, in my mind, before he got the Welsh job, in my mind, would have been, okay, he would have only have been taught by Alex Ferguson, so he would have only have known that way to do it, and that way was successful. But I still thought it wasn't the right time, because had he have been installed as the manager, he would have been exactly what David Moyes was. David Moyes was a lamb to the slaughter. Coming after Sir Alex Ferguson, and I think we all admit it, Alex Ferguson was probably the best manager of all time. Based on his trophy cabinet, based on the same barometer that you're judging Mourinho by, he is arguably the most successful manager ever in history. To come after him, anyone that came after him was going to be a failure. If Pep Guardiola had taken over after Alex Ferguson and won the league consecutively for the next 5-6 years, no one would have batted an eyelid. No one would have said, look at how great of a manager he is, because that was the culture of the club that we had going already. But anyone you put in that position, and if they had to drop out of that top 4, 5, 6, and the depths that Moyes went to, he was always going to be the one that was going to be sacrificed for that role. If we had brought Van Gaal in, Van Gaal would have lasted exactly the same amount of time that Moyes lasted if he had fallen to that same depth. It could have been any manager. Pep Guardiola could have taken the job. He fell to those depths, he would have been fired. So Moyes was always going to be a lamb to the slaughter to come after Alex Ferguson. That's why we gave him 8 months or whatever it was that he was in the job. Then Van Gaal had 2 years, and now Mourinho's got 3 years. Yes, Mourinho's probably improved us way more than the rest of them, but he's got the cabinet, the trophy cabinet, to say that he should have. So this season is 100% a make and break. Mourinho has never been at a club for more than 3 years. Never. In his entire history, he's never been at a club for a longer period of time. If he finishes third, that's going to be a failure in everyone's eyes. In the media's eyes, in the club's eyes, in the owner's eyes, in the players' eyes, in the fans' eyes. That's going to be a failure. Because, yes, he hasn't had the investment that he wanted. He hasn't had the players that he wanted to be added to the squad. He's still got the same back four that Ferguson had. Inverted wingers and converted wingers and whatever you want to say. But he's now in the third season, and usually Mourinho's second season, he wins leagues. City had an incredible. We can't argue that.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola is a better manager because he got the best out of players that were already at that club, and he got them over the line. When we talk about where I rank him as a great manager, he's a good manager. He's probably pushing towards great, but he's always had the stock at his disposal. He's always had clubs that were willing to spend and willing to let him dictate what was going to happen. He brought in the players that he wanted. So this season, when he hasn't signed very many, he signed Mahrez, is probably the biggest player that he signed. But do you really need to add that much more to a team that won the league so convincingly? Did he need 4, 5, 6 signings? Did he need to go and buy Neymar and Ronaldo and all the rest of it? No, he didn't. But did Mourinho? Yes, he did. Yes, he took us to a better position than we were in. But we all agree, Manchester United doesn't have the depth that City has. They don't have the depth that Chelsea has. They don't have the depth that Tottenham has. Our bench is D-rate type players that we couldn't even sell Fellaini. Fellaini was shopping himself around to other teams in Europe, and no one wanted him. So all he did on the day that his contract was supposed to expire, he re-signed the contract. So that tells me that players don't want to leave Man United because of what they're getting paid. They're at a big name club. But no other team wants to sign them for the type of money that they're on. So they're not the quality of any other teams. We've got them, but no one else would take them. So you can't say that they're the same. If anyone from Chelsea wanted to leave, they could go to another Premier League team. Fellaini couldn't do that. Chris Smalling, we couldn't sell him to another Premier League team. Phil Jones, we couldn't sell him to another Premier League team. Valencia's not going to go to another Premier League team. Smalling, Young's not going to go to another Premier League team. Fellaini won't go to another Premier League team. So we don't have the same stock that they have, so we should have strengthened. So if Mourinho ends up doing something with the season, if we end up winning the season, that's going to be a massive, massive statement.
I don't think it will be that much of a surprise, because for me is that, look, I'm big on building something from the ground up, and I just think which you don't get with football these days, is time. And I just think each year Mourinho is going to improve with this team, because they're just going to get to a point where you get a better understanding. They collectively get better, because at the moment you could see, like last season, some games, like the team spirit and just the team play was exciting to watch. Yeah. Other times just way off. You know what I'm trying to say? Yes, look, we talk about Guardiola and his man management, yeah, it looks brilliant because his team's playing well. But we had this argument before, is that no one's, as much as Mourinho comes out to be a bad guy, I've not heard one player come out and say anything bad about Mourinho.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Guardiola, there's multiple players, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Whether it's that, we don't know, because it could be a situation where Guardiola could be too demanding, and that some players don't like it. With Mourinho, like, people, we look at it from the outside and say, oh yeah, his style is boring, so people don't want to play for him. Who wouldn't want to play for Guardiola because they play such nice football? But not every player likes to play that type of football. Some people would love to play under Mourinho because, at the end of the day, like, this is the thing. We don't know what goes on in that changing room.
Yeah.
That is the one thing. We're getting a lot of what's coming out in the media, but how much can you believe the media? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I do think, look, we're one game in. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
One game is not going to tell you everything. Like, Arsenal have won their opening games for how many years, and it looks brilliant and whatever, and nothing comes of it. We end up finishing fourth, whatever. We can't judge the whole season just by one game. Like, yeah, Man City, yeah, they won convincingly, blah blah, whatever. Yeah, brilliant. That's not to say that other teams they're not gonna drop teams against drop points against other teams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So it will be interesting to see what happens after, maybe look at it after maybe 6, 7, 8 games, 10 games in. Then you could go, oh, okay, cool. Where's everyone at?
Yeah.
The style of play, because once you're in, like, especially 10 games in, then you can say, okay, cool. They're gelling, they're not gelling. Like, this is working, that's not working. And that's when you really kind of get a judgment of what is really happening, what needs to happen. Like, because that's where managers start looking, okay, cool, look, next transfer window, I might need this. Or I need to get rid of this, or I need to change this.
Yeah.
But, again, like, one game in, it's very easy for us from the outside because we're looking at last season. But this is a fresh season.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? A lot of things can change. Like, the one positive thing for you is that you've got a player in short. Look, even though it's one game, but he done well in that one game, which he hasn't played for how long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? He's got his first
senior goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a positive in itself. You know what I'm trying to say? Now,
and that's going to be instrumental for him.
There you go. Now, I'm not being funny. If you've got him doing his job and you've got Ashley Young being able to play in that position, you've got two strong players. If you've got Damian and Valencia being able to do that, that's good. Then if you got Lindelof wasn't his first season last year, wasn't brilliant, but if he can kick off this year, then you're talking about you've got depth. You just need other players to just go along with that program.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say? Pereira, he was not spoken about last year, so we talk about depth.
Yeah.
We're talking about players that he was not talking about last year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say?
He was out on loan, but I wanted him to stay last season and prove himself.
Yeah.
Now he's actually going to do that. Mourinho will give him that opportunity because, for whatever reason, Herrera's now dropped out of favour with him. Whereas Herrera was right there. Herrera, everyone was saying at the end of that season, he should be captain for next season. Because he looks like he bleeds for the club. But that's obviously changed. So Mourinho falls out with players and then other players get an opportunity, which is now Martial's the one that's out of favour. He's dropped back in the pecking list.
But is it a falling out, or is he old school where is at the end of the day? This is what I was raised in when we was playing. Is that at the end of the day, you're judged on your training sessions. These are full-time players. They're not playing Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
These are full-time players. So he's going to judge it over the week.
Yeah.
Come into that Saturday and go, you know what? Well, he deserved his way. We may not see it as outsiders, as fans.
Yeah.
But he knows what these players are capable. He knows who's going to fit into that team for that week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So, is it a situation where Herrera's not out of favour? It's just that Herrera's just showing a little bit more.
He was showing more.
Yeah. And would is that not deserved?
Yeah.
Then you've got players in your team who's worked for that position, who's worked for that shirt, and that's how it used to be. Man United always had big squads who competed. No one ever, it wasn't I know I'm going to play next
Automatic pick, yeah. You were never an automatic
Exactly.
pick. Yeah.
So where you've got that depth now where you can say, okay, players are competing in training, that level's just gonna.
Yeah.
Right, you know what I'm trying to say. So, as much as we say, yeah, we're saying that the depth ain't there, but I think it is if these players are stepping up, and then you've got players from last year who are saying, okay, cool, you know, I've got to step my game up. I've got to be ready when I'm called upon.
Yeah.
It could be. Look, I'm all for Mourinho. Like, I'm not listening to what the media is saying. I think it could actually work in your favour.
Yeah.
Forget, like, even though many signings, but signings don't. I just think with signings being made, I just think it's just become normality of, transfer windows open, we've got to make signings.
Yeah.
No, you haven't.
Well, the measure for that will be Tottenham this
there you
season.
go.
So
Yeah.
if they can play at least as well as they did last year and keep their form going, on a team that's basically going to have to remain unchanged, and whatever backup players they have, they're going to have to lift that game and compete for that spot as well. Suns at the Asian Games at the moment, you know what I mean? Big miss there, and the only sort of backups they have in any sort of quality, Llorente as a striker. In their midfield, they've got a few good players in Dali Ali, Eric Dyer, but if they can continue their form, and like you're saying, teams get so used to nowadays signing new players and seeing how they play out. If Tottenham keep up their form, it might be not only a change for the good, but it might show that, look, you don't have to go out and spend 60, 70, 80 odd million to compete in the Premier League, at least until January. Now, in my opinion, with Tottenham concerned, their stadium. Their stadium's held back their signing protocol, but with the manager like Pochettino, he's the kind of guy that if he was at the helm of Manchester United, I wouldn't be so disturbed or perturbed that we didn't make any signings. You know, he's the kind of good manager. Last season, if Mourinho was going to get pushed out for any reason, he's the one coach I would want at Manchester United. Him or Jurgen Klopp. So that will be the check and measure for signings. Liverpool have made a lot of signings this season. A lot of them for the better, because they're a puzzle that's being put together, and being put together very well. Cates has come in, Fabinho. When you got guys like Fabinho sitting on the bench and that kind of quality, you know, it's going to be hard for Jordan Henderson to even find a first team spot, and he was their captain last season. So there's your two sort of opposing views: is your Tottenham and your Liverpool. How they're going to go out the season? How's that team going to work moving forward? But for now, I'll say we'll leave it there. The G.B.B. Keep watching, like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.